Bet.
A federal appeals court says President Obama's recess appointments to the National Labor Relations Board were unconstitutional. So what now? Do the commissioners step down? What about the hundreds of rulings they've issued since being appointed? Joining us now, a man who once served as the chairman of the NLRB, Peter Schaumber. Sir, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here, Shannon. Thanks for having me.
All right, imagine a big thumbs up from you on this court decision. Your reaction?
Well, the court decision is very well written. It's very scholarly. Its conclusion is inescapable, and is really invited by President Obama, who did something which no president in American history has done, and that is to purport to name recess appointments during a short break in a continuous Senate session. You know, the president doesn't have unilateral appointment authority. It's shared with the Senate. The president nominates, the Senate confirms. And the reason for that is our founders were concerned that unfit characters would otherwise receive high government positions.
I thought that this opinion was a very interesting read, and like you said, it's very bold and very wide-sweeping, and making this distinction between intra-session appointments and inter-session appointments. Now, critics of this decision will point out, as the White House has, that other presidents, Republicans and Democrats alike, have made these intra-session appointments, the ones that the court says, we don't care if other presidents have done it, it's no good, we're looking at the Constitution and its text. So how do you answer them when they say, hey, Republicans have done it too?
Well, you know, Jay Carney said that Republican and Democrat presidents have been doing this for 150 years. That's not correct. For the first 80 years, no president had named what is called an intra-session. And maybe we ought to define what we're talking about so people understand. You have sessions of Congress, a first session and a second session. The recess is between those two sessions. And the court said it is during that period of time when recess appointments can be made. Prior to 1947, only 3 intra-session, that is, recess appointments during a session of Congress, were ever made. Modern presidents, beginning in the 1950s, with some exceptions, President Kennedy, President Johnson, and President Ford, I don't believe named any intra-session recess appointments. But many modern presidents, or some modern presidents, did. Ronald Reagan did, the two President Bushes did, President Clinton did.
Okay, so what happens now? Do you think these commissioners should step down? Do you think their decision should be invalidated? What do you think is the logical next step, or do we wait for the Supreme Court to straighten it all out?
Well, ultimately, you have to wait for the Supreme Court. But I believe the board itself should stop issuing decisions for 2 reasons. From a purely practical reason, any person against whom the board has issued an order can appeal to the D.C. Circuit, and the D.C. Circuit will not enforce the board's order. And also, from a purely legal, if you will, ethical perspective, these 2 purported members of the board took an oath to defend and support the Constitution. And here you have a very respected, unanimous decision from a circuit court that is very respected, saying that they were not constitutionally appointed. So from both a practical perspective and a legal perspective, I think the board would do itself a favor by not issuing any further decisions.
All right, we will stand by. Former NLRB Chairman Peter Schaumber.